Today's broadcast is going to be really about what do you want to ask? You can ask me, you can ask Natalie. I throw myself at her disposal. In the title, I said, ask Natalie almost anything. So there will be a boundary, right? I mean, if somebody gets inappropriate, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I trust you with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want me to be honest, or you want me to do
No,
the sugarcoat?
I want you to be honest.
Okay.
But I mean, if somebody asks something that's kind of, private or too private, we need a safe word. What's the safe word?
Do you want to say our real safe word?
Yeah.
It's pineapple?
Pineapple. So we saw this on a show somewhere where when somebody had a safe word, what was it? It was Steve Irwin. And there was a guy who was on his show and he was handling an animal. He said, how do I know you're genuinely afraid or when you're just acting? We need a safe word. And the guy said, my safe word is pineapple. And so ever since our safe word is pineapple. So if anything happens, you got to say the word pineapple. Okay? All right. So anyway, I had a few questions on the Facebook page, and they were, as I'm waiting for the switchboard to populate. When Seth this is Daria. When Seth turns his radio voice in your direction, what's he usually begging for? All right, hit me.
So we call this, it is his radio voice, but I also call it his working voice, his working it voice. And it's usually when he's trying to convince me of his idea. He wants me to see the things the way that he sees it. So he'll turn on his working it voice.
I change my voice when I'm trying to be convincing?
Mm-hmm. It goes a little bit lower, a little bit softer, a little bit slower. Mm-hmm. They know what I'm talking about, yeah.
I mean, it's not that I'm being disingenuous, am I? I mean, I'm speaking from a point of sincerity.
I think you're just trying to convince.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want to convince somebody else of their point of view? But you're saying that I go into performance, some kind of a...
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a performance. A little bit.
Now I'm all self-conscious. I'm having to lean into the frame. We don't have a whole lot of room and our chairs are bumping. So she and I are getting shoulder to shoulder. Let's see. How is Linus doing? Lori, thank you for the question. You want to tell the story?
No, go ahead.
Linus started to act really funny a couple of days ago. He's a little 7-8 pound multi-poo rescue. And he is our world, Linus and Gracie. And he all of a sudden started to just glaze over and his eyes looked not right. I don't know. How would you describe his expression?
He looked like he was in pain. He was standing on all four limbs, but he was kind of hunched over, kind of like he had abdominal pain. He's just not quite right. He
looked stiff, like he was using economy with his movement. And when we were walking, he's bouncing around the neighborhood and he's sort of cock of the walk and he's the biggest dog on the street, even though it's a tiny little, hairdresser dog. And this time he was sort of one and done. And you could tell he wasn't quite himself. We took him to the vet. He's not quite back, but he's better. But we're still watching him really closely. But
okay, these questions are cracking me up. You got to go back up.
Go
to Colorado Biker. Yes, he is trying to smooth talk me.
I think you're going to be blushing in a few minutes.
I could probably use some. I look pale. Pineapple on pizza for sure.
Does Natalie like pineapple on pizza?
Yes,
yeah,
I do.
Why wouldn't it be a legitimate topping?
It is.
Katie says manipulative.
Yes.
LOL. I'm not manipulating. Well,
can be.
I'm not manipulating. I'm convincing, and I think there's a difference. But thank you. Kind of like begging.
Smooth
talking, says Colorado Biker. There's a super chat, and thank you for the support of this channel with your super chats. I will make sure and read all of those. For that gorgeous wife of yours, she has the better hair dye.
So I'll tell you something about Seth that he does not understand. He does not understand the prices of women's hair, expensive handbags, perfume, the girly things, the things that we like. So I keep trying to tell him, you just need to go get your hair colored if you don't like the gray. I like the gray. I think it looks smart.
People try to make you feel better because they say silver, right?
gray.
It's silver, the silver fox.
I think it looks good, but he won't go get it done.
Well, that's a slippery slope. First of all, once you dye it, then you're dyeing it forever. And everybody knows you dye it because all of a sudden your gray hair disappeared. They're like, uh-oh, yeah, Seth dyed his hair. It's like when somebody walks into a room with a bad toupee. Who's that comedian Chris Porter who said, if you're wearing a toupee, just know that no one has heard a word you've said ever, right? Because they're looking at your head. And I've always thought, well, I'm not that self-conscious. And secondly, what happens if you get the color wrong? Because an unnatural color is just a big flashing no-no. So how do I prevent that? Because I'm not going to do the mail order.
No, I think you have to go to the salon. I think you have to get it done professionally by somebody who understands gray and men's hair. It's going to cost you more than $10 for the haircut. But
Hi, I'm Seth. I'm in a midlife crisis. Can you make me look like Hugh Jackman? Here's my money. Is that what you're saying?
I'm just going to say thank you, Dr. Andy, for the kind compliment. That was really cool. That was really nice. He does get bored a lot. I think he is somebody who is always has to have input. So his brain is always kind of going, and I'm the exact opposite. I need a lot of downtime. So I think I bore him sometimes when I...
Oh, no, you don't bore me. It's not that I have to be out and active. You know, those sanguine temperaments they have to always be in the company people, and they have to have activities 24/7, and they're restless all the time. For me, it's more like I kind of bounce in my chair, even when I'm all by myself in the house. I can keep my own company, but middle of the night, right? 1:30, 2 o'clock.
He's up.
Yeah.
He'll get up. He'll meander. He thinks he's being really quiet, but Seth is a very loud person just by default. He breathes loud. He walks loud. Cleans the kitchen. He does clean the kitchen a lot, but it's loud. So loud that the dogs will retreat because they get scared of the noises. But
really,
so he'll think he's being really quiet, and he'll try to tiptoe out 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, and he'll shut the door. Or maybe I'm just a really light sleeper. Maybe that could be it. Maybe it's me.
I'm trying to be gentle. I'm trying to close doors softly. I'm trying to tiptoe. I lay the coffee. I mean, I get up pre-dawn often, and I'll lay the coffee cup just, lightly on the countertop. But
very thoughtful.
Sound carries. I'm not trying to be loud or noisy. What she really hates is when I eat tortilla chips, because apparently my head is like a conch shell.
It is the loudest thing you will ever hear. Like, I don't know. It has to be intentional. Or eating a banana. Like, I'm one of those people. And it's not just Seth. Anybody eating a banana will...
Really?
There's a word for that, like noises, like chewing noises. People, I forget what it's called.
What is that?
I'm sure somebody knows.
Yeah, it's not a disorder, it's a condition.
I have that condition.
A characteristic. But yeah, it's true. I can be in the kitchen, she's in the other side of the house, and I'm just hungry for tortilla chips. And
I try not to even keep them in the house.
After the third one, I just hear in the background, oh my God. I get no grace. I get no grace. Let's see. Bobby, in Mississippi, we don't say Natalie. It's Natalie. What do you cook when you want something from Seth?
Oh, not cake.
Tell him.
Okay, so yesterday was Seth's birthday. And we had this plan. We were going to go to I was going to take him to a sushi dinner. I was going to cook him a 3-tier birthday cake. I'm not a baker. I can cook very well, but I cannot bake. I don't know why. It's an art form. So I had this great white cake recipe, and it took all day to make it because you have to cool the layers before you make the icing. And then we were going to go to this dog show maybe that we started talking about at the very beginning of the show. So the cake... turned out really bad. It was like very, very dense. The buttercream icing had split, and I made like a strawberry preserve, and it was too runny. So as I'm layering the cake, I've got the red, strawberry in the middle, and I've got the broken icing in the middle. I was making a naked cake, if you guys know what that is. It's like where it's just very limited icing on the outside, only on the top. And so when I was finished, the icing looked like vomit because it had split. And then the red cherry looked like blood, and it was dribbling all over the side. It was like a horrific cake.
It wasn't horrific. It just, sometimes
it was really bad.
The science of baking is hard. I think it's hard to put stuff together, but we made it together, And so it was time in the kitchen, and we hung out, and we got to spend the day, and then we went to the movie. I mean, it was a good day. But she beat herself up all freaking day because of the cake.
It was a bad cake. It was a sad movie.
It was not a sad movie.
We didn't make it to sushi. I made him a sandwich.
It was a melancholy movie.
He had a sandwich, a birthday sandwich.
With themes about life and love and memory and regret. And see, I go to the movies and I don't mind leaving a little melancholy as long as the movie grabbed me by the heart. I want to take a journey. I want to care. And so I don't, but she's not that way. I think she wants to leave more. You want to go and feel better. I don't know.
It was a story about an owner's dog who had passed away, and he got rehomed, and it's like this 150-pound dog,
Great Dane,
yeah. And she didn't know what to do with the dog, and it was just,
yeah,
it was a little bit too real.
Movie.
Like you think about what would happen to Linus and Gracie if we died. And how would they feel like waiting for us by the door and we never came home? Like it was that kind of movie.
Or the fact that they won't live forever. I had a moment there where I was like, oh my God, Linus isn't feeling well.
Or if you rescue a dog when they're 4 or 5 years old, then you're looking at them once you fall in love. Like, who was your friend when you were a puppy? Who did you play with?
Yeah.
And we have those conversations. Like, I wonder what Gracie was like as a puppy. Or
the mortality of it, and then the price you pay, a heavy price for love, and is it worth it? And then we came home and we hugged our dogs. I love you so much. Misophonia is the word when sounds drive you crazy. Janet said, I'm a woman and don't understand all that crap either. If you need it to feel like a woman or feel good about yourself, you have deeper problems. Janet.
Probably so.
Thanks for the kind words. Much appreciated.
I'll blame it on my father.
Do either of you play musical instruments? Old Uncle Bob says, are you musical? You used to sing.
So I used to sing in a church choir. I was backup. I sing just good. I probably couldn't carry a tune on my own very well, but I can do some harmony. Seth, and I was a drummer in the Pride of Broken era.
Wait,
back in
I thought you were
88.
I thought you did the rifle.
I did. So I got bored with drums because I was the only girl. I was first chair, so that was cool. I come from a long line of drummers in my family, so I didn't really read the music well, but I could remember the rhythms pretty well, so that whenever I had to go to tryout, I could, my mom would teach me. Little bit of piano. I could play the chopsticks on the piano. But Seth, you guys might already know, he plays the piano very beautifully. He can sing.
Yeah, no. I'm not a singer. I'm a speaker. I tried to sing a long time ago, but I just don't have that ability. I played a little bit by ear. I didn't have the patience for music lessons. I used to go to piano lessons and I was looking at the chords and the treble clef and the bass clef and all of this, and I didn't have patience. And again, I'm vibrating in my chair and I just wanted to play what I wanted to play, freestyle. And I had not much discipline. I do regret that. I do wish I could go back and be, a kid again and pay more attention. Does that make sense? It's probably like how you would approach college if you blew off college when you were 19, but then you were 29 and you thought, wow, I would do it differently now. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's fair, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Colorado Biker said, I used to be a professional chef. I could give you lessons. Baking is an art and a science. Don't be sad. It takes years to get good at.
So, when we were baking the cake, we were doing out the measurements, but that's the exact thing that we said, baking is a science. You had to get everything perfectly measured. And it just felt like it was going so well. The cake smelled amazing in the oven. And then when it all came together, it was just, the cake went into the trash. That's how bad it was. I wish I could share a picture. I've
got an open switchboard, and if anybody wants to dial in, the phone number is in the show notes or the description box. You can also do a web call with that link. I'm going to try Nancy at area code 702. Nancy, are you with us?
Yes. Hi, Seth. Hi, Natalie. How are you both?
Turn down your radio or whatever it is. I'm hearing some delay there.
Yeah. Hang on one moment.
You're fine. Take your time.
Is that better?
It is better. Nancy, what's on your mind? What do you want to talk about?
Oh, I just wanted to say hi to Natalie. It's nice to get the opportunity to speak with you since we don't get to hear from you too often.
Hi, Nancy.
And my question for you, how are you?
Good.
Every day's Christmas when you live with me. Nancy. I just want to throw that out there.
I did have that in my notes he gave me. So
go ahead. What's your question?
Oh, yeah, you're not
What's
feeding
your
her any
question?
lines.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to know what was the biggest surprise about getting to know Seth?
I'm interested in this one.
That is a good question. I'm going to have to think about that for a minute. The biggest surprise about getting to know him. So Seth and I, before we got married, we had lived together. Can I say that? You guys aren't going to judge us.
Oh, it was awesome. Yeah, it was
we
awesome.
lived together for many, many years because we had the divide of belief systems and just making sure that we could coexist and be respectful of each other's, life choices and thoughts and ideas. I think the biggest thing that surprised me the most was, so we play tennis together. And when we first met, we met on the tennis court. He was a pretty good tennis player, still is. But I think the biggest thing that surprised me was, he had tennis elbow surgery. And then when he came back from that, he wasn't very good. so, and I'm a little bit competitive, like when it comes to board games and cards and tennis. I'm less so now because my game's not that good anymore either. But
really, this is the thing. She's waiting for some deep relational revelation, and you're like, he sucked after he had his elbow operated on. But
I'm telling you, it was like a big change. And so he and I would play, for a tennis team, for like a USTA tennis team together. And he started out in how big a tennis court is. Like, all you have to hit is a spot this big in the tennis court.
Really?
And kind of, he would go through this, we call him bunter. He would go through this thing where every ball was out. And so finally I'd be like, you just need to pick one little spot in this big blue field. Like, it's harder to hit the ball out than it would be to hit. So that was kind of surprising.
See, I was waiting for some
really
rich insight, and you were talking about my tennis game. I just didn't expect that.
So honestly, when Seth and I first met, he did not disclose that he was an atheist, and you have to remember back at that time, years before, I was at a big mega church in our local town, and we taught there. We very, very involved, and we were taught atheist ate babies, and we didn't know any. I'm in the Bible Belt of Oklahoma. There are no atheists, right? And so he was. I remember we were talking, and he was telling me, and Seth, to know him personally, he's very kind, very generous, very thoughtful, very encouraging. He does not display the ideas of what a lot of people think an atheist would be. The angry, the whatever stereotypes that somebody might have until they know one. And so I think that was the thing that I learned most, because 20 years ago, I wouldn't have been a friend with an atheist because it was scary. I was taught to fear that, didn't know anybody. And so I think the thing that I was most surprised, and the thing that Seth honestly has taught me a lot about, is that atheists are good people, and they're people like me, and sometimes have better morals and better people skills and better humanitarian ideas. So in truth, that's probably the thing that has surprised me the most, or has made me grow beyond where I was just by having met him. So I would say that.
All right. Nancy, did you have anything else for us?
No, that's excellent. I like it. I got some of the humor. I got the tennis, and then I got the meat of it. Yeah, I think that's great. Thank you so much.
Kind.
Well, I hope Linus is okay, and I hope that both of you have a great day.
Thank you, Nancy. Much appreciated. So this is related. I'll let you go as deep as you want. From former to free XJW, you've mentioned a mixed faith relationship. How do you navigate belief versus non-belief between you two? You'd call yourself probably spiritual more than anything else, right?
I would. I have definitely changed.
I mean,
I'm the girl. I have a voodoo doll downstairs that I'm not afraid to use. I have garlic. I have Buddha in the bathroom. I've got an atheist as a partner. I mean, I feel like I'm just all encompassing. I'm inclusive.
Yeah, just
I
whatever
like that
you need
about myself.
Just throw the rock out and let it hit every possibility, and she believed, like, I'm going on a ghost hunt at the end of May at a haunted hotel in Kansas. And I'm going to take video cameras, and we're going to, I've got the instruments, and I'm doing it. Natalie would say my mind is already closed, but I am doing it with some tools. I've got the electrometer and the, divining rod. I mean, I figure I'm going to, the black light and the temperature gauge.
You know what? You're going to piss them off is what's going to happen. You're going to be mocking them. You're going to piss off the spirits, and then they're going to
come after me. Mm-hmm. You think so? Mm-hmm. So anyway, but she would say, you've already made up your mind. Well, I am conditioned from seeing a whole litany of ghost claims, totally unsubstantiated and or debunked. But if a ghostly thing happened, I would want to know that. And I've invited her to go on a ghost thing with me. I want to stay at the Stanley Hotel in Colorado, which is where Stephen King got inspiration for The Shining. Honey, would you like to stay at the Stanley? And she says,
I'm good. But I have been to the St. Anthony Hotel. And that's haunted.
San Antonio, Texas. She's convinced were the walls bleeding?
They were weeping in the bathroom. Mm-hmm, they were. I'm not kidding. So we went to it was a work trip to the St. Anthony Hotel years and years ago. Not Seth, but yeah.
How long?
It's been a long time ago. Before really cell phones had been a big thing. Not everybody had them. This business meeting was planned by other people. So I just went not knowing where we were going or what it was about. And I immediately walked in with my husband and my two small children. I was like, this place is haunted, because I was very spiritual. I was like, I could feel it, And comes to find out, everybody thought I was crazy, but they started digging. And yes, that hotel is known for being haunted. And there were some weird things that happened that we still talk about to this day. So I'm good. I think I've been there, done that. I wasn't even looking for it.
Wasn't it marketed as being haunted?
It was, but it wasn't marketed that way to me because I didn't know anything about it. So I walked in.
Your intuition said...
My women intuition said, you're about to die in this place.
Did you piss off the spirits?
I think we did piss off the spirits. I ended up getting sick. Like I'm a person that never gets food poisoning. I guess I got some kind of food poisoning. I was up in the weeping bathroom in the middle of the night, throwing up. Got freaked out they had a pool on the 10th floor that my young daughter and I went to, and we were both really, really scared that we had to leave. And we went home and looked up. There was a story of a haunting at that pool, and so have fun with that.
All right. Well, I mean, you can see
I've probably lost everybody.
No, you can see.
I'm a little bit woo. I like the woo. I like this. I feel like watchmaker. I think I'm probably a watchmaker person.
Like something set it all in motion, and there's the unexplained, maybe beyond the natural thing. Just
probably a higher power somewhere.
You think somewhere?
Somewhere.
But if a higher power is not involved in our lives in a meaningful way, then it's all academic, right? Because really, mostly, then we only have each other. Does a higher power jump in and...
I don't feel like the higher power is going to jump in. I think the world is spinning, so you're still on it. You haven't been flung off.
There may be something out there.
They've already done everything that they're going to do.
We've got to solve each other's problems.
Perhaps.
Right?
Maybe.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's going to take but who knows?
I mean, and I think that's interesting for a lot of people who are like, how does an atheist and a spiritual person share the same space? And I think it's because we share values. And we have had plenty of conversations over the many, many years we've been together about really, and what do you think of that? And I don't buy that. And these have been spirited exchanges.
And this is when the working it voice comes in.
No, I'm not working it. But I am saying that then when it's all over, we care about the same things and we want the same things. We love people. We have shared interests despite our very different personalities. And she's my person. I know she's got my back. And she's the person that I want to share my life with. And it's hard for a lot of people to understand. And then other people will say, well, I'm a non-believer married to a Buddhist or even a Christian or something else. And somehow they're able to make it work.
See, I have friends here.
Hang on.
It's my tribe.
Hang on. I'm just going to have to go through some of these. If you're on the switchboard, be patient with me. Sherry said, I'm all about the woo as a psychic and medium. Sherry, you're killing me. You're killing me. I wrote a book with a chapter on psychics and who they are.
So we went to a psychic once, and I was really disappointed in Seth because he wouldn't take the journey. This woman had a brand new crystal ball. It was sitting. She was like, "Look into it,
Black
see if you can
cat
see."
in the lobby, in the gift shop.
Yeah, it was awesome, and he just wouldn't go. He would not take the journey.
No, I went
for entertainment reasons.
It was from my birthday in 2015 in San Diego. And
Ocean Beach. No.
I know, like I've read enough James Randi and enough of the work of the debunkers like Darren Brown to know what psychics do. Hot reading, cold reading, shotgunning. There's so many tactics that are used by mentalists and supposed psychics. So when I was there, it's a forensic experiment. So she's totally in shotgun mode. Bada bing, bada boom, bada bop, bada bop, bada bop, bada bop. And then she realizes when I started to push back and ask questions, well, wait a minute, you just referenced this. Is this a Druid thing from the Festival of Samhain? And how do you relate that to so-and-so? And she just totally blanked. And she said, you don't believe in God? And I said, no. So she took the God card, the tarot card off the table and stuck it over here. And then she continued without it and kind of adjusted. And then she said, there will be a woman that enters your professional life.
Yeah, and then that's where we got in a fight.
Well, it wasn't my fault. She said, there will be a woman in your professional life and you will engage in a romantic.
I don't know if it was romantic. It just said that she would be like your very.
Like a confidant or
something. I was like, oh, who's this?
So, yeah, she's in the back.
It's
and
like
I'm
when
whoa.
a woman has a dream about their husband doing something and you wake up and you're like, how could you?
I'm like, thank you very much for that. Well, it's been 10 years. I have no confidants who were coming in here and snooping around. All right. But anyway, she wishes I had just surrendered to the experience, and maybe I could have. And I'm going to try to do that a little more during the ghost hunt. I'm not going to walk in and be a total asshole about it.
You'll miss some of the fun that way. It's just for entertainment.
Well, I buy that if you're going to be entertained. And I think people are really good at scaring themselves. You throw me in a dark castle dungeon. You throw me in an abandoned hospital with the lights off and say, spend the night here. I can freak myself out pretty easy, right? I don't need ghosts to do it. I would hear every rustle, every sound, every breath of wind. So, I mean, I can do that. Would you stay the night in an abandoned hospital with me?
No.
$20,000.
No.
$50,000.
No. Keep going.
Really?
Maybe.
Is it Jerome or Jeremy at 660? Hello. Hi. How do I pronounce your name?
It is Jerome.
Jerome, welcome. You're on with Natalie and her husband. That's what we should call today's broadcast. Natalie and her husband.
Hello, Natalie.
Hi.
And Natalie's husband.
What's up? What's on your mind? What do you want to talk about?
What you talked about Linus, your dog, and I hear the affection in your voice when you talk about Linus all the time, and that's very sweet. Whenever I hear the name Linus, I think of my childhood because I grew up Catholic. And you may not know this, but they have Eucharistic prayers number 1, 2, 3, and 4. And in Eucharistic prayer number 1, they rattle off the litany of saints. So they say, Linus, Cletus, Clement, Sixtus, Cornelius, Chrysogonus, John Paul, Cosmos, and Damien. And we honor this, that, and they go through all these names. And but Linus heads up the names, and it always makes me think of my childhood when you mention Linus. So I thought I'd share that with you.
There's a Saint Linus?
Apparently.
Interesting.
He's talk to the Catholics. They know all these things.
So Linus, if you ever watched like the Charlie Brown, the little Linus character that carried his blanket, Linus has a blanket that he chews on. So that's what I think.
We needed a different name when we rescued him, because when we got him from the Humane Society, he was named
Santa. Yeah.
They called him Santa. And I get it. If you work for a rescue, you're having to try to name thousands of dogs, and I think they were just grasping. And it was around the holidays when they rescued him. So he was Santa, and we're like, no, that's not going to work. And so we went through a litany of names. I think it was your daughter that came up with Linus, and we were like, yes, yes. And he totally looks like a Linus. And he's my son, and I need him to live forever. I'm going to look up Linus the Saint, Jerome, and see what the internet has to say about that. Was there anything else?
No, that's it. I just thought you might enjoy knowing that Linus was the head of a long list of saint names that get thrown out in the Catholic Eucharistic prayer.
Love it. Love it. Thanks for the info. Appreciate you.
Take care.
All right, we'll see you. Pope Linus. I found this. I don't know if this is what they're talking about. I'm guessing if it's a Catholic icon, it's got to be. Pope Linus was the Bishop of Rome. That would be what, 68 CE to 80 CE, generally regarded as the second bishop of Rome after St. Peter, and he was canonized as a saint. According to Irenaeus, Linus is the same person as the one mentioned in the New Testament, mentioned in the valediction of the second epistle to Timothy, 2 Timothy 4:21, as being with Paul the apostle in Rome near the end of Paul's life. So this family has more than one biblical name. I'll cover the Old Testament, and apparently Linus covers the New. I just don't remember ever seeing the word Linus in the Bible. Doesn't sound like a biblical name. Let's talk. Wait, hang on. Drusilla said there's a lot of Christians that wouldn't be able to be together because they have different views. I would guess a lot of those would be in terms of their values, what they care about. But I feel like you and I share values about the world. It's like when I'm allied with religious people who are humanist activists on the front line against Christian nationalism. Some people don't understand why I stand shoulder to shoulder with Christians, Jews, Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, etc., and they stand shoulder to shoulder with me. And I'm like, well, it's because they're wonderful people and because we share values. We can discuss theology all day long, but as long as underneath the more academic stuff, we line up in terms of what's important and to tell the truth and to be moral and how to treat people and to build a better world. That's what I'm interested in.
I feel like there's a lot of different variations of Christians right now. And I don't want to get too political because I know we're all just exhausted with it, but all Christians are not equal anymore.
No, not remotely.
And I feel like, I was reading last night just about somebody who would, claim to be a Christian are now saying we're not Christians, we're followers of Jesus, because they want to separate themselves from what the MAGA Christian, that whole movement that's happening, that's bigoted and racist and judgmental. I think normal people, I guess I'm hoping normal people are growing weary of all of that hatred. And to me, it seems like the Christian that we're talking about today is that narrow-minded, hateful, judgmental, othering people who are not just like them.
It's like the fundamentalist Christians who use the Bible to preach hate against gay people, right? Those fundamentalist preachers that say the government should round them up and execute them, or that God will send them to hell. And then you've got another swath of people that are like, my Jesus loves everybody. My Jesus made homosexuals the way they are and would never judge them. Now, granted, I think those Christians are unaware of the scriptures, but they are practicing a version of Christianity. So when people talk about Christians as any one thing, that's a problem, right? Because, they're as varied often as the people who believe what they believe. So are you looking something up?
Yeah, I saw something the other day where people are asking them to verify if you're like the MAGA Christian or if you're like the the OG Christian. Like, how do you identify? Because now you're going to have to explain yourself.
No, if you identify as a Christian, I don't think you. How much latitude do we give?
It was classic Jesus or Republican Jesus. That's what you have to.
Well, the problem is, and I narrated an audiobook with Dr. David Madison. He wrote the book. He's an ex-believer, an ex-pastor, and a theologian. And his book is called 10 Things Christians Wish Jesus Hadn't Taught. And there's this thinking that everything that Jesus said and did was light and love and come as you are and kumbaya. And a more objective and honest examination of Christ reveals some really problematic behaviors, where he likened a woman to a dog and essentially said some very racist things. We're talking about the same Jesus who is one and the same with Yahweh. We're talking about Jesus who separated the sheep from the goats and sent the unbelievers to burn in hell. Depart from me, you who are cursed, into an everlasting fire, those types of things. And so I think people then make a Jesus in their own image, don't they? Like there's the fire and brimstone. Everybody, I think, is icky's going to hell, Jesus. And those people hold on to that. And then the other people who are like, well, I want to be a Christian, or I feel comfortable calling myself a Christian, but I can't abide all the awfulness. So my Jesus is going to love everybody unconditionally. That's fair, isn't it?
Yeah, that's fair.
I thought you were going to like really back me up, just really
No,
get in
I'm
there.
just, it just makes me angry. We are surrounded by people who are not. I mean,
go ahead.
No,
let them have it.
No,
just
let's
vent.
change the subject. Let's just change it.
Are you sure?
Yes, because I know they all have it too. So.
I think you're worried it's going to become a downer. It might be in radio what we call a relate. When you and I are speaking about something, even a hard topic, and people are like, I feel that. I understand that frustration. And I think I'm gonna start, and you don't have to finish. All right. So I'm not making the conversation go anywhere, but I do want to speak to. We are surrounded by people who, in it seems like most of the other aspects of their lives, would give you the shirt off their back, and they love their families and they work hard and they seem to be good people, and they have done this weird game of Twister in their brain where they can turn around and support the current administration and the assaults on decency and democracy. And I go back and forth. Is it because it's like I was in, it's tax season, right? So I'm in the accountant's office and I'm like, I'm that guy. Here's my papers, just take it and fix it. And as Kathleen Madigan says, I'm going to try not to break into tears whenever you give me a number, right? So I give them, but Fox News is on in one of the waiting rooms in the lobby of the building. And I'm sitting there for 10, 15 minutes waiting. And by the time I left, I thought, it is no wonder that many of the people voting MAGA are voting the way they are, because we don't live in a shared reality. The shit they were hearing on Fox was this weird alternate universe. We don't exist in a place where the facts are the same, the deeds and the words spoken are the same. So we don't have whenever you and I bring things up, they look at us like, oh, I've never heard that. I don't know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. So we have to provide sourcing, chapter and verse. We have to show them. You're not going to go there, are you? Okay, I won't make you. Good. That's okay. Okay. But I know she feels me.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to engage a little more with people out there.
I will say Heather Richardson had posted, I'm sure a lot of your friends follow her. She's a historian of politics. And she had posted about, I guess, this people that work for the state have a notification to tattle on non-Christian workers within the state. And to the point where, she's fearful, and she's put on a list as a professor, which oftentimes professors are the first ones on the watch list, because she's posting, chronicles about what is going on a day-to-day basis within this administration. But that, on a more serious note, whenever you think about the atheist community, what you're doing in a public forum, what's to say that, you guys aren't next on the list? So I think, this community, this website, what you're doing is probably going to be even more important going forward too.
You think so? I mean,
I do, because I feel like, as people start being fearful that their coworkers are going to tattle on them for, simply living their truth. I mean, I think that would be normal for people to want to retreat just a little bit, don't you?
Well, I think people will people will rally to a point of community, and there will be solidarity among those who are being marginalized. Atheists have been a pretty easy target for a long time, and then it became more and more normalized. And then Project 2025ers got in there, and now they're looking for quote unquote anti-Christian bias in the halls of power, and they're supposed to report that in the government. What's that even freaking look like? Somebody says, I don't believe it. I think it's horseshit. Uh-oh, he's got anti-Christian bias. Now he's on a list, maybe loses his job.
Yeah, I mean, that's where we are. That's where that's where we're heading if something doesn't change.
I wonder if some of my stuff and other things in the atheist space are being shadow banned. The algorithms are just starting to push that content down or back a little bit. I don't know, but I don't think it's unreasonable to worry about it when the environment is the way it is. A super chat in from Troy. Like all news broadcasters, we must know, does Seth wear pants during broadcast?
He's in a skivvies right now.
I am not wearing underwear, or I'm not just in underwear. But I am wearing shorts. I'm wearing my tennis shorts, so I've got a collared dress shirt, and I am in gray tennis shorts. So there's a glimpse behind the scenes. Gimpy Gaming. Ghosts aren't real, my proof. When you're a quadriplegic, the plinth never moves on the Ouija board. Coincidence? Oh, I don't think so. Now, Gimpy Gaming is hysterical. Is kind of a comedian who calls in with some amazing one-liners and has a tremendous sense of humor. I've got a web call without a name. Oh, wait a minute. I think I see it at the beginning. Is it AJ? Hi, are you with me?
Hey, yes, I am.
Welcome, AJ. Let's talk. What's on your mind?
How you doing? This
Well.
is DAJ.
Yeah, I know you, AJ. I think I saw you in attendance at Objectively Dan's wedding in San Antonio, Texas, a few weeks ago. I was the officiant there.
We did, yeah. It was great seeing you.
Yeah, it's so good to see you. Go for it.
What a great conversation. Natalie, so nice to meet you.
Nice.
Do you have a comment or question?
Yeah, I did. Firstly, I wanted to say that I think that even though you both have a different God belief, it's amazing to see that you both share so many amazing morals and values. I think that's something inspiring and to look up to.
Thank you.
Especially like in this environment that we're all living in right now, that is really, really scary. I recently went to my citizenship interview, and after that, I was really scared to even go to protest, because I was like, what if they find something to deny me for, or to be like, hey, like we're gonna take you to jail or something like that. So yeah, I appreciate you both standing up for things that are right.
Thank you.
But anyways, let's get to it.
Mm-hmm.
To lighten up the mood, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
I almost broke Seth with this question in the past, okay? So I wanted to ask Natalie the same question, and I don't know if Seth has asked it to you.
Okay.
But how do you think, like in your head, like let's say if you are asked, what do you want for dinner? Does the thinking process in your head go just words, like you hear yourself think, I want to have this, or is it a visual thing? Like you suddenly imagine, like see what you want to eat for dinner? Like are you a visual thinker? Are you a verbal thinker? There's people that don't have any, it's called a fantasia, where they don't see or hear anything in their mind. They just kind of like, I suppose they use like feelings.
That's a really interesting question. I've never thought about that. I don't think I'm a visual thinker, because I don't really see the dinner. I think I'm more practical minded. It's like, what do I have in the kitchen that I can throw together that everybody wants? We cook most of our food at home. So yeah, when he says what's for dinner, unless I'm like craving something, like if I think about, this is what sounds good. But if there's nothing that sounds good, I think I'll go back to just being more practical minded of what can I throw together without having to go to the grocery store.
Or we DoorDash and spend $25 for a hamburger because we're desperately not wanting to cook. But I mean, as far as do you like Is it words? Do you see pictures when you go through a process? Do you hear sounds? Are you cognizant of any of that?
No, I'm not. I don't feel like I hear sounds. I don't see pictures. I think I'm just more analytical of what is true that I can put my hands on and then try to, solve whatever the problem is. Now, if it's something that's difficult, like feelings, something that maybe makes you feel emotional, I will just block it off. I'll just wall it down. So obviously I have things to work through, but I tend to do
wall
that
it
a lot.
down.
I wall it down.
But what happens then is that pressure builds. I mean,
I honestly think, like, if I don't have the power, if I don't feel like I have the power to fix it, then I'm going to spin my wheels and work myself up.
Really?
Don't you feel like that? Like, I can work myself up pretty, like, when you feel helpless and you feel overwhelming, sometimes you have to go back and focus on the things that you can control. And, going back to politics, in a sea of MAGA people, the only thing I can control are the people that will engage in conversation and try to get them, which I know Seth thinks they're incapable of,
I don't know if that's fair, but I have fought. I do fight cynicism when I see what I consider to be a cult.
Yeah. I just want people to go on if they make a claim, I want them to go on their cell phone and search for proof so they can back it up and send it to me. And 9 times out of 10, they can't. They're like, well, I can't find proof. But I know the algorithms on their phone are going to change when they Google things like that. And so I'm just trying to engage in conversation, at a friend level. These are people that I know in the tennis community, and try to get them to mindfully think about some of the things that are happening. For example, Fox News is telling you all these people that they're rounding up and shipping offshore are hardened criminals, but nobody has had due process. So we really don't know if that's the case. And so I think they're hearing the one-liners and they take it as truth instead of really kind of critically thinking about, what are the odds that all of these people are hardened criminals?
Well, some of that too, doesn't it speak to kind of an embedded xenophobia with some people? I mean, they hear the immigrant, the foreigner, maybe the brown person, and that speaks to something that was already there inside them. So they knee jerk and say, aha, they're maybe more prone to believe that. I think there's some white privilege in play. I think there's some tribalism and othering in play. I think a lot of people, it's funny, the Trump phenomenon has in some ways been a black light at the crime scene. It's revealed things about people that we did not realize were there. Yep. And it hurts the heart. She and I have been like, I don't even think I can answer the phone with this person, or I don't want to spend time over the dinner table with this person. I feel like they are, maybe we didn't really know them, or we didn't know them in the way. And I don't know. I wrestle with it.
I do too. I don't understand it.
And then you're like, well, maybe there's a way to create the crack that lets in the light. I don't know. I go back. I tend to go a little harder. So she's being really diplomatic, and I will jump in and post a link to Donald Trump's $500 tennis shoes and say, hey, check this out. And then I'll have something snarky to say. And I've been trying to work on it, but it's hard. It's hard. It's hard for people to tell me we need austerity. We must trim the fat. And then they're like, yay, an $800 Trump inauguration watch. And let's pay $100 million for a military parade for the 5-time draft dodger. Yeah, I tend to get a little snarky. And then she has to talk me off the ledge. Couple more. Darcy calling in at 619. Hi.
Hi, Seth. Hi, Natalie.
Oh, shit. I didn't say goodbye to AJ. AJ, I'm so sorry. I saw the next call. Forgive my rudeness. I throw myself at your mercy. I will now segue to Darcy. Thanks for your patience. You're on with Seth and Natalie. What do you want to talk about?
Hi, guys. Good to see you, Natalie, for the first time.
Hello.
Hello. You're lovely, and Seth is very lucky to have you.
Thank you. I tell him that all the time.
People always look at her.
The
they look at her and they look at me and they look at her and they look at me and they're like, Natalie, did you lose a bet? Like, what happened? Did he follow you home and you fed him? Did you feel sorry? What happened?
It's not true.
No, I know what I got. I know what I got, Darcy. Go ahead. What was your question?
Good for you. So I wanted to bring up Fox News. I have an uncle who's Republican, Christian, and we were never close until after my mom died. He's East Coast, I'm West Coast, but we reconnected a bit. But he kept sending me this stuff, and I would we would have email exchanges. He's hard of hearing, so we don't talk much on the phone, but we would have these lengthy email exchanges. I would spend hours going and searching these claims that he was making in these emails or that he was forwarding me, clearly from the right-wing news media. And it got to the point where I just said, you got to stop sending me this stuff because it's garbage. And I don't think I ever convinced him of anything. But it was exhausting for me to try to have to go through this stuff. And it was bonkers.
I feel you.
Did you ever have some people send you? Did you have people sending you Fox News type stuff?
No, I had people sending me TikTok clips, and I'm just like,
TikTok clips proving why Trump's awesome and why the libs are all And so it wasn't even a news source. It was some dude with a cell phone camera on TikTok.
Yeah, that worked for the administration.
Darcy, I cut you off. So you are feeling the frustration. Did you have anything else? You have a question or a further comment? Take your time.
No, just that I read recently that when Rupert Murdoch finally dies, that his heirs will probably not continue Fox News, which, hallelujah.
Now, if I may, for those who may not be aware, especially my international listeners, Rupert Murdoch is the owner of News Corp, which owns Fox News and a bunch of other media outlets. Personally, I think Fox News is an oxymoron, and so do squillions of other people out there. Essentially, right now, Fox News is dear leader state-run television. And but Rupert Murdoch is like 9,000 years old, and his offspring, who will inherit News Corp, some have been openly critical and about this hyper-right, sycophantic, fake news kind of propaganda network that Fox has become. And so the speculation is, once the old man kicks off, and there will be celebrations by many of us when it happens. What's that line by Mark Twain? I have never wished a man dead, but I have read many obituaries with great satisfaction. This is true with Rupert Murdoch and a few others. When he goes, some are saying that the offspring, the children and grandchildren, whoever inherits News Corp, will de-Foxify Fox News, and it may become something else. Is that what you've heard, Darcy?
Yeah. I mean, the fear is that there may be something else that comes in to fill that void. But, boy, if it goes away, I will be happy.
Well, we did see any of the times that Fox News reported something that was less than, adoration for Tangerine Palpatine, that the Fox News audience turned on the network and they said, I'm done with you. It's like when one of the anchors on Fox News validated the Biden win back in 2020, and Fox Newsers flipped out and said, screw you guys, this network is not news. And then they spun off into Newsmax and OAN. Who knows what they'll do? But I would love to see a management change and maybe a direction change. We'll watch and see what happens, Darcy. So thanks for calling us today. Much appreciated.
Bye-bye.
All right, you guys.
All right.
You guys be good.
Thank you.
Couple more minutes real fast. I know Nat's she's playing tennis twice today. We're going to play together. Some married couples cannot play tennis together because you might say things to a life partner on the tennis court that you wouldn't say to somebody else. So when I miss a shot, what do?
Nothing. Try harder. try harder.
What did you used to do?
I think I take my right. I don't realize that I'm doing it, but I'm like, and it's not the first 5 misses. It's like,
here we go. But I've done the same thing, Rob. Be
Yeah,
like,
he
just
does the same thing to me.
Step forward, step into your shot. And before you know it, we're driving home and there's black smoke coming out of our ears.
we're going to do really good today.
And then we're like, we're not going to play with each other
it's
anymore.
a birthday win today.
And then the next day, somebody's like, "Hey, you guys want to play?" And we're like, "We'll be right there." We just immediately reset. But we've actually worked that out. Lucas asked the question, Natalie, how much time do you spend waiting on Seth when a fan recognizes him in the real world?
Not a lot. I mean, they're pretty respectful of the time, and it's always good to see people who appreciate the hard work that he puts into everything. So I think, some of Seth's people come from, families or places where they feel alone and they feel judged and they feel ostracized, and they find Seth's website and then they feel, that it's okay. I'm not broken. And I think he, genuinely gives that, in his podcast. You guys know it too. And so when they see him, they're thankful, and it lets Seth know, sometimes he works from home. He's not around a lot of people unless he's traveling. And just that feedback to know that what he's doing and the time and effort that he puts into his podcast and his shows, it matters to somebody. And so we're grateful when somebody comes up, I think.
And that's, she's had to sacrifice a lot of time of my time, when I'm, one of the worst things is, honey, this will just take another half hour. Right.
It's football minutes.
It's football minutes, and it just takes longer and longer and longer. And, she has occasionally been, it's not easy being the partner of an activist, I think. Even this coming weekend, being gone for 4 days, and, I'm FaceTiming her as much as I can and keeping her in the loop. But it's a long time to be apart, and she's made a lot of sacrifices, but she's also my number one cheerleader, and she keeps me centered and grounded. When people send me a message or an email that talk about their journey, and it's amazing how heartfelt those emails are. Mm-hmm. I came out of this, my family's rejected me, my spouse said they're going to take the kids, I've been in tears all night, I don't know what I'm going to do, I feel lost, or maybe I did feel lost, and now I found a community online, whether it's yours or another. I know they're sharing a story. So we'll be sitting on the bed, and I'll pull it up on my phone and I'll just read them aloud. And I'll say, hey, check this out. And I'll read the letters to her. And that gives her...
He'll use his radio voice to do that too.
I don't use my radio voice. It's my real voice. But I will give you... I want you to hear.
Yeah.
And then she's good at saying... Because burnout's a thing for an activist. Mm-hmm. And it's also hard after 16 years... and seeing the insanity of the world, sometimes you become a little, maybe even self-pity or whatever. You lose perspective and you say, fuck it, does it matter? Right? Is it making a difference? Am I just in an echo chamber? Am I just talking to myself? Of all the thousands of hours, what's really coming? You start to really spin into oblivion, especially when you're physically tired. And she literally will take me and go, literally, and say, hey,
time to hit the road. You need to go see some people.
You need to get out of your office, and you need to socialize with people, and you need to remember that it
does matter.
She kind of sets me up. Michael from Scotland has sent a super chat. I don't know what denomination that is. I don't know how to say SEK, but 100 sounds like a lot, and I'm so grateful for you. I think we'll probably go ahead and call it. I've got a super chat from S. Kowalchuk, Canada, $2. We're going to Banff in Canada in a few days. We get to travel together, which is rare. So I'm speaking at the We Can Reason event in Calgary, Alberta, and I was told that there was a lovely national park, a mountainous range, rivers, trees, wildlife. And so I Googled it. Holy shnikes, it's gorgeous. So I go downstairs and I'm like, honey, look at this. Look at where I'm going. Maybe we can tack on a few days together. Mm-hmm. And so I got us tickets, and we're going to go, and we're going to, frolic with the creatures. And I'm guessing the water's too cold to kayak or canoe, or I don't know. We're going to go be together and enjoy some Canada. And I think we shouldn't have too much trouble getting back over the border. I was talking to Bob Barnes at the BajaCon event, and he said that there are a lot of Canadians who are showing solidarity with Americans. They understand that many of us are trapped down here at their southern border on the other side, and we're just as traumatized or more than anybody. And they stand with us. And we look at Canadians and say, you know what? If you pull our shit from your shelves and you want nothing to do with America's business partners, we kind of understand. Like, we can't blame you. But we do know that we have friends and family up north. And so we're going to come up north and spend a few days up in, it is pronounced Banff, right? Banff? Banff? Banff?
Sounds good to me.
Banff. I just like saying it. So we'll be out there in just a few. Thank you so much to my lovely bride for spending show number 800.
Hey, congratulations too. That's a lot of hot air coming out of you.
That's a lot of hot air coming out of me. And we'll continue, maybe head toward 900. Thanks again for being part of this community and this show. I'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.